Hello friends and welcome to Pendulum Video. Today we'll be discussing daily current affairs of 20 July 2020. So guys, quickly join this session. Also try to add more and more people to this session. And those who have not subscribed to our channel Pendulum Video, please subscribe it and do not forget to press the bell icon to receive notification. And these current affairs, these are also available in Hindi. So you can also look upon that. Moving to the first news. There has been a decrease in maternal mortality ratio in the country. So recently Dr. Harshvardhan, he informed in a special bulletin which is released by Registrar General of India on maternal mortality ratio during 2016 and 18 that there has been a decrease in maternal mortality rate in the country. So maternal mortality ratio is defined as death due to pregnancy or within 42 days of termination of pregnancy. So this is maternal mortality ratio, and this is per 1 lakh live births. So this is calculated on the basis of per 1 lakh live birth, that is the death of the mother due to pregnancy or within 42 days of termination of pregnancy due to pregnancy complications per 1000 live births. This is called maternal mortality ratio, and this has declined in our country. So let us know what were the main points of the special bulletin which was released by Registrar General of India. So the maternal mortality ratio has declined by 9 points in a year from 122 in 2015-17 to 113 in 2016 and 18. And if we talk about state-wise, then Rajasthan has recorded a decrease of 22 points. Then 19 points decline has been recorded in Uttar Pradesh, 18 points in Odisha, 16 points in Bihar and 15 points in Madhya Pradesh. Also in Telangana and Maharashtra, the MMR has declined by more than 15%, while 4 states Odisha, Rajasthan, Andhra Pradesh and Gujarat, it has seen a decline of 10 to 15%. Also the schemes of the government like Janani Shishu Suraksha Program, Janani Suraksha Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Surakshit Matritva Abhiyan, these were specially appreciated for their contribution in declining the maternal mortality ratio. So who is this Registrar General of India? So Registrar General of India, this office is under the Ministry of Home Affairs, and it is responsible for conducting surveys and analyzing the surveys, especially the census. And this, talking about census, this census, it is conducted every 10 years. Last was conducted in 2011, and this now it will be conducted in 2021. Latest will be conducted in 2021. And the first census was conducted in 1881. And if we talk about the census which was conducted after independence, that is for independent India, the first census was conducted in 1951. And this Registrar General, it was established, the Office of Registrar General and Census Commissioner of India. This was established in 1961, and the current Registrar General is Vivek Joshi. Okay, so these all information are important for you because the questions can be asked from this part. Now let's see a question related to the news. According to the recently released 2016-18 special report of the Registrar General of India, the maternal mortality ratio has decreased by how many points as compared to 2015-17? 15, 12, 9 and 20. So what will be the correct answer for this? Quickly comment. The correct answer will be option C, that is 9. Moving to the next one. By 2023, all the capitals of Northeast states will be connected to the rail network. So recently, Railway Board Chairman V.K. Yadav. So this is important fact that who is the current Railway Board Chairman? V.K. Yadav. So he said that all the capitals of the northeastern states, they will be connected to the rail network by 2023, and There are these are very important projects, and it has been the top priority of the railways during the last 5 years, and the work of connecting the capitals of Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland and Meghalaya is in progress. Although there has been challenges, and there will be challenges, but connection of these these northeastern capitals through the rail network, it will be completed by 2023. Now quickly comment that what is the capital of these 4 states, northeastern states: Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland and Meghalaya. Quickly comment. So capital of Manipur is Imphal, and Chief Minister of Manipur is N. Biren Singh. The governor over here is Najma Heptullah. Talking about Mizoram, so Mizoram's capital is Aizawl. So its capital is Aizawl, and the governor over here is P.S. Sridharan Pillai and CM is Zoram Thanga. Talking about Nagaland, its capital is Kohima, and the current Chief Minister of Nagaland is Neuphiu Rio, and its governor is R.N. Ravi. Talking about Meghalaya, the capital of Meghalaya is Shillong. The current governor is Tathagat Roy, and current Chief Minister of Meghalaya is Conrad Sangma. Also, the efforts to connect each part of Jammu and Kashmir to railways are going on at a rapid pace, and the Katra-Banihal rail link project is likely to be completed by December 2022. Now let's see a question related to the news. By which year the Railway Board has set a target to connect all the capitals of the northeastern states with the rail network? 2025, 2028, 2023 and 2030. Quickly comment the correct answer. By which year these capitals of northeastern states will be connected through the rail network? The correct answer is option C, that is 2020. Moving forward to the next news, the government has approved the zonal master plan of Bhagirathi eco-sensitive zone. So recently, the Bhagirathi eco-sensitive area notification was issued by Ministry of Environment in 2012, and now the government has approved the zonal master plan of Bhagirathi eco-sensitive zone, and this will pave the way for rapid implementation of Char Dham project and will also promote conservation of ecological and development activities. So this Char Dham project, it was in news in May especially. So basically it was in news due to the inauguration of 440 kilometer long tunnel. 440 kilometer long tunnel was inaugurated by the Minister of Road Transport and Highways, and this tunnel, it is part of Char Dham project, and this was built by a Border Roads organization, and this tunnel, it will reduce the time to travel on Rishikesh, Dharasu and Gangotri stretch of Char Dham. And under this Char Dham project, it is a project of Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, which aims to provide all-weather road connectivity for Char Dham, which are these Char Dham: Kedarnath, Badrinath, Yamunotri and Gangotri in Uttarakhand. And this project, it will be, a part of it will be built by Border Roads organization. So a total of 889 kilometer highway will be constructed under this Char Dham Pariyojana. Talking about eco-sensitive zones, so these are notified areas in India by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, which are notified in the vicinity of protected areas, national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. So some activities are restricted in this eco-sensitive zones. Moving forward, let's see the question: which of these pilgrimages is not included in the famous Char Dham of Hindus? Kedarnath, Badrinath, Yamunotri, or all of the above are included? So quickly comment the correct answer. Which of these are not included in the famous Char Dham of Hindus? So the correct answer is option D, that is all of the above. So Kedarnath, Badrinath, Gangotri and Yamunotri are the famous Char Dham of Hindus. Now moving to the next news, PM Savanidhi app was recently launched by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. So recently an app for PM Savanidhi Yojana has been launched by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, and the launch of this mobile app, it will boost paperless digital access to microcredit facilities for street vendors, as well as it will speed up the plan's implementation strategy. So basically, the people who want to avail the loan, they can go paperless through this PM Savanidhi app. So what is this PM Savanidhi Yojana? It was recently launched. It was announced on 1st June 2020, and the disbursement of loans was started from July 2020. Under this scheme, the street vendors which are affected very adversely due to COVID-19 and subsequent lockdown, they'll be given working capital loan of rupees 10,000. Okay, and also they'll be eligible for 7% interest subsidy. Interest subsidy will be given, which will be directly transferred to their accounts in the quarterly manner, and no collaterals. Very important thing is that no collateral shall be asked by the institution providing the loan, and this loan facility can be availed from any scheduled commercial bank or self-help group bank or microfinance institutions, or you can say regional rural banks. So this loan facility can be availed by anyone, and if a person or if a street vendor who is availing a loan of rupees 10,000, and if he repays the loan within 1 year, because this loan will be given for a time period of 1 year. So if he repays the loan within 1 year, then he'll be eligible for the next working capital of rupees 20,000. And also this 7% interest subsidy, it is applicable till March 2022, 31st March 2022. So this was all about PM Savanidhi Yojana, and this PM Savanidhi Yojana, it is fully funded by central government. Okay, and this was also in news due to an MOU was signed between SIDBI and Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. So this MOU was signed between SIDBI and Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, and it aims to designate this SIDBI as the implementing agency. So if a question is asked that which is the implementing agency for PM Savanidhi Yojana, so SIDBI is the implementing agency for Savanidhi Yojana. And if a question is asked that this PM Savanidhi Yojana, it was launched by which ministry? So it was launched by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Okay, so this was all about this PM Savanidhi Yojana, PM Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi, which is a special microcredit facility for street vendors. So I hope now if any question is asked from PM Savanidhi, you will be able to answer that. Now let's see a question related to the news. Recently, PM Savanidhi app has been launched by which ministry? Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Home Affairs, and Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Quickly comment the correct answer. Which ministry has launched PM Savanidhi app? The correct answer is option A, that is Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Moving to the next news, 121 animals rescued in flood-ravaged Kaziranga National Park. So a team of Center for Wildlife Rehabilitation and Conservation, it has rescued 121 animals in the flooded Kaziranga National Park. As we have seen that Assam was in news due to the flood which was there, and it especially affected the Kaziranga National Park, and now 121 animals have been rescued from this national park. The Center for Wildlife Rehabilitation and Conservation, it was established in partnership with Wildlife Trust of India, Assam Forest Department and International Fund for Animal Welfare. It was launched in 2002 and it has been strategically located near Kaziranga National Park to conserve the wildlife and for their rehabilitation. And it undertakes rescue, treatment and rehabilitation of wild animals in times of crisis in the region and other states. Talking about Kaziranga National Park, in the past questions are being asked, the questions have been asked, and there are probability then that questions can be asked from this national park part. So Kaziranga National Park, it is located in flooded plain of Brahmaputra Valley in Assam. So this national park, it is basically prone to flood, very much prone to flood, and it is home to world's largest population of greater one-horned rhinos. This was declared a national park in 1974 and a tiger reserve since 2007. Also, it was included in UNESCO World Heritage Site list in 1985. So you can see a complete list of all the sites in India which have been included under the UNESCO World Heritage list from our website pendulumedu.com. So this Kaziranga National Park was declared UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1985. Now let's see the question related to the news. Which statement is not true regarding Kaziranga National Park? So it is situated in the flooded plain of Brahmaputra Valley in Assam. It is home to world's largest population of greater one-horned rhinos. It was declared a national park in 1974 and it was included in the UNESCO World Heritage Site list in 1990. Quickly comment the correct answer. Which statement is not true? The correct answer will be option D, that is, it was included in the UNESCO World Heritage list in 1990. So, option D will be the correct answer. Moving forward to the next news. Indian Institute of Technology, that is IIT Madras, it has developed a portable hospital which is called Medicap. Recently, a startup that has been started at the Indian Institute of Technology Madras, it has developed a portable hospital, and this hospital has been named as Medicap. The modular structure can be set up anywhere by just 4 people within 2 hours. So this can be set up very quickly. Within 2 hours, 4 people can set up this structure, and this Medicap portable structure can also be used in remote locations to screen COVID-19 patients, to isolate them, and also for their treatment. And IIT Madras was in news for 2 reasons. First, IIT Madras was ranked first. It was ranked first among the overall category, in the overall category, and also in the engineering category in the NIRF ranking, which was recently released for the year 2020. And this ranking is basically for higher ranking of a higher education institution. This NIRF ranking, it was launched in 2015, and this was approved by Ministry of HRD. It is a method to rank the higher education institutions in India on the basis of various parameters like teaching, learning outcomes, etc., researches. And also IIT Madras was in news for one more reason. A course was launched by recently HRD Ministry, which is a BSc degree in programming and data science. So this course has been designed and it is offered by IIT Madras. So that is why IIT Madras was in news. Moving to the question part. Recently, a portable hospital named Medicap has been developed by a startup of which Indian Institute of Technology? Madras, Guwahati, Delhi and Kharagpur. Quickly comment the correct answer. Which IIT has developed this portable hospital named Medicap? Guys, keep commenting the correct answer. Hit the like button. The correct answer for this is option A, that is IIT Madras. And IIT Delhi was also in news due to Corosure. A kit was recently launched. It is a COVID-19 testing kit. COVID-19 testing kit which is based on RT-PCR test. And this kit was designed by IIT Delhi. And the cost of this kit is very low. It is rupees around 400, and this is manufactured by, because a question can be asked that which company has manufactured this Corosure. So this is manufactured by New Tech Medical Devices. Okay, so it is designed by IIT Delhi and it is manufactured by New Tech Medical Devices. Now let's move to the next news. The United Nations has declared Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan chief Noor Wali Masood a global terrorist. So recently United Nations has blacklisted Masood on charges of participation, planning and perpetually working for the support and financing of Al-Qaeda linked entities. In 2018, Masood was named Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan leader after the death of former TTP leader Maulana Fazlullah. The TTP was blacklisted on 29 July 2011 by the United Nations for alleged links with Al-Qaeda, and also in May 2020, recently, Masood Azhar, who is the chief of Jaish-e-Mohammed, he was declared terrorist. He was declared global terrorist by United Nations, and this was a great victory for India, because India was asking United Nations to declare this Masood Azhar as the global terrorist, but every time China stopped the resolution and by using its veto power. So now finally the Masood Azhar has been declared as a global terrorist by United Nations, and now this Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan chief Noor Wali Masood has also been declared as global terrorist. Now let's see a question related to the news. Recently the United Nations has declared Noor Wali Masood a global terrorist. He is the head of which of the following organizations? Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Boko Haram and Tehreek-e-Taliban. Quickly comment the correct answer. Option D will be the correct answer for this, that is Tehreek-e-Taliban. Moving to the next news, a meeting of the 15th Finance Commission was held with the ministers and officials of Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. So a meeting was recently held with the officials of Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs and 15th Finance Commission, and the issues related to property taxation of local urban bodies, these were discussed in the meeting. The Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs has recommended a 4% increase in transfer of funds to municipality. The ministry also apprised the Commission about the establishment of an advisory group of urban development ministers, which has been constituted with the regional representation of 6 states: Gujarat, Odisha, Tamil Nadu, Punjab, Tripura and Uttar Pradesh. Now let us know something about the Finance Commission. First of all, this is a constitutional body. Constitutional body means a body that derives its functions, its power from the Constitution, or it finds its mention in the Constitution. In Article 280, Finance Commission has been mentioned, and this Finance Commission is constituted every 5 years, and it is constituted by President of India. So President of India every 5 years constitute this Finance Commission. And the 15th Finance Commission, this 15th Finance Commission, it was the current chairman of this is N.K. Singh. Okay, this is important for you, that who is the current chairman of 15th Finance Commission? It is N.K. Singh. So what is the function of this Finance Commission? It recommends the transfer of financial resources from the center to the states and any other purpose which has been or any other work that has been given by the president, that has to be handled by the Finance Commission. For the first time, 15th Finance Commission, for the first time the commission report recommendations have a complete chapter, a separate dedicated chapter on health financing. Health financing. Okay. Moving to the next news, Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy launched the expanded YSR Arogyasri scheme, and in this more than 1,000 procedures will also be included under the scheme. Cancer treatment and cochlear transplant surgery have been brought under the purview of Arogya Shri. So basically this Arogya Shri, it has been expanded to include different procedures and surgeries. And recently Andhra Pradesh government has become the first state to provide treatment for COVID-19 under this Arogya Shri. So this is important that Andhra Pradesh has become the first state. So a question can be asked, which state has become the first state to provide treatment for COVID-19 under Arogya Shri? So Andhra Pradesh will be the correct answer. Arogya Shri, it is a flagship healthcare program, and the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Dr. Y.S.R. Reddy, started it in 2007. This is administered by Arogya Shri Healthcare Trust, and the latest government has renamed the scheme to Dr. Y.S.R. Arogya Scheme in 2019. This includes the health interest of people living below the poverty line. So the major aim of Arogya Shri is to cover or provide health facilities, or you can say it is a flagship healthcare program especially for the people living below the poverty line. Now let's see a question related to the news. Which statement is true regarding Arogya Shri? The Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Dr. Y.S.R. Reddy, started it in 2007. Andhra Pradesh became the first state to provide treatment for COVID-19 under Arogya Shri. So you have to comment that which statement is true. One only, two only, both one and two, and none of the above. So what will be the correct answer? Option C will be the correct answer, that is both 1 and 2, both statements are true. Now let's see the next news. International Mandela Day. So every year on 18 July, International Mandela Day is celebrated to commemorate the birth anniversary of Nelson Mandela, and the day was officially declared by the United Nations in November 2009. Nelson Mandela, he was the first black president of South Africa. He was also a Nobel laureate and anti-apartheid. He was a great man, and he was born on 18 July 1918 in South Africa. He dedicated his entire life fighting for human rights. So he was a very great personality, and therefore a day has been designated on his birth anniversary, that is International Mandela Day. Similarly, for Mahatma Gandhi, on the birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, in India we celebrate Gandhi Jayanti, but worldwide it is celebrated as International Day of Non-Violence. As Gandhiji preached non-violence and truth, he was the advocate of non-violence and truth, and therefore the International Day of Non-Violence has been dedicated for to commemorate the birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Now let's see a question related to the news. International Mandela Day is celebrated every year on which day? 16 July, 18 July, 20 July and 22 July. Quickly comment the correct answer. What will be the correct answer for this? The correct answer will be option B, that is 18 July. On 16 July, World Snake Day is celebrated. And on 18 July, International Mandela Day is celebrated. On 22nd July, Pi Approximation Day is celebrated. Okay, moving forward. India and US has signed an MOU to initiate cooperation on the operation and maintenance of strategic petroleum reserves. So first of all, we'll understand what is this strategic petroleum reserves. So basically these reserves are huge stockpiles of crude oil to deal with crude oil related crisis which occur due to any natural calamity or disaster or any war or any other issues. Like you can say there is an emergency due to this COVID-19 like global pandemic. So for such situations, such emergency situation, so huge stockpiles of crude oil are created, and the countries which are member of IEA, that is International Energy Agency, they have to hold emergency oil stocks which is equivalent to 90 days. equivalent to 90 days of net oil imports. So this amount of oil reserves has to be maintained by a particular country who is a member of IEA, that is International Energy Agency. And talking about India, India is associate member of IEA. India became an associate member of IEA on 2017. Okay, so this is an important information for you. And now can you tell me that what are the current location of strategic reserves in India? India has strategic reserves. So what are the currently, where are these strategic reserves located? Quickly comment. One is in Vishakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh. Another is in Padur, Karnataka. And the third one is in Mangalore, Karnataka. Okay. So these last two are in Karnataka and one is in Andhra Pradesh. And also the government has approved a setting up of two additional strategic reserves, which are, one is in Padur and other is in Chandikol. Chandikol is in Odisha. Okay. Padur is in Karnataka. Okay. So two additional strategic reserves have been approved, and now India has signed an MOU with the US to initiate cooperation on the operation and maintenance of strategic petroleum reserves. And this decision was taken at the US-India Strategic Energy Partnership meeting. Union Oil Minister Dharmendra Pradhan co-chaired the meeting with the US Energy Secretary Dan Brole via video conferencing. Along with this, a MOU was signed between the two countries to enhance cooperation in other fields also, like bioenergy, renewable energy in agriculture, and high efficiency coal technologies with low emission. So another MOU was signed in various fields like bioenergy, renewable energy in agriculture, and high energy coal technologies with low emission. Moving forward, let's see the question. India has recently signed an MOU with which country to start cooperation on the operation and maintenance of strategic petroleum reserves? Iran, Kuwait, USA and Russia. Quickly comment the correct answer. The correct answer is option C, that is USA. And with Iran, the important project is Chabahar project. Okay, Chabahar port project, and recently India was taken out of this Chabahar rail project by Iran due to it cited the reason as the delay in the project from Indian side and also the funding. And with Russia, we recently signed a deal which was finally approved during the visit of our defense minister to Russia on the 75th victory, for attending the 75th victory parade. And this deal was related to the pending AK-203 assault rifles and also KA-2260 light utility helicopters. So this deal was discussed during the visit of defense minister to Russia. Recently, India also approved the deal with Russia related to Su-30 MKIs, that is Sukhoi planes, and also 21 MiG-29 planes, fighter planes. So these deals were held between India and Russia related to defense. So that is why India-Russia relations were in news. Now moving forward to the next news, a UN report on multidimensional poverty level was recently released, and this report on multidimensional poverty has been released by United Nations Development Programme and the Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative. In this report, the status of India is as follows, that is between 2005 and 6 and 2015 and 16, around 273 million Indians have come out of multidimensional poverty, which is a good news for India. The number of people living in Multidimensional poverty in India is based on the 2019 population data of United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, according to which in 2006 India had a high number of multidimensional poor people. The status of other countries, if we see, according to the report, in sub-Saharan Africa about 84.3% of the multiracial poor live. 65 out of 75 countries have significantly reduced their multidimensional poverty level between 2000 and 2019. 4 countries, Armenia, India, Nicaragua and North Macedonia, they have halved their global multidimensional poverty value in 5 to 10 years. 14 countries have reduced multidimensional poverty in all their suburban areas, which includes Bangladesh, Bolivia, Kingdom of Eswatini, Gabon, Gambia, Guyana, India, Liberia, Mali, Mozambique, Niger, Nicaragua, Nepal and Rwanda. So these are the 14 countries that have reduced multidimensional poverty in all their suburban areas. Talking about multidimensional poverty, it refers to various deprivations which are experienced by poor people in their daily lives, such as poor health, lack of education, inadequate living standards, poor quality of work, threat of violence and living in the areas that are hazardous to the environment. So this is defined as multidimensional poverty. Before this, a human poverty index was being released by UNDP, and now this multidimensional poverty index is released because it was said that poverty is multidimensional, because a person who is poor, he is not only deprived of social things, but he is also deprived economically. He is deprived economically, socially, politically and also environmentally. So in every aspect, a person who is poor or who is in the vicious circle of poverty, he faces economic, social, political and environmental deprivation. How many Indian people came out of multidimensional poverty during the decade between 2005, 6 and 2015 and 16? 157 million, 273 million, 349 million and 423 million. Quickly comment the correct answer. What will be the correct answer for this? Option B will be the correct answer, that is 273 million people came out of multidimensional poverty during the decade 2005-6 to 2015 and 16. So friends, here we have covered daily current affairs and related questions. I hope you like this session. Like the video, share it as much as you can. If you have any doubt related to current affairs, please mention that in comment box and keep following daily current affairs. We'll meet you again. Thank you so much.